AMN Drivetime is sponsored by Aishin, your trusted and reliable source for aftermarket automotive components and technology. Visit AishinAftermarket.com for more information.
Jerry, welcome to AMN Drivetime, sponsored by our good friends at Aishin.
Thank you, Bill. Glad to be here.
We're glad to have you. So, Jerry, we were talking, you're an Ohio State University, the Ohio State University grad with a degree in marketing, and right out of school you got a job at Bendix. How did you find the aftermarket, or did the aftermarket find you?
Good question, Bill. So I suppose you could say that I found the aftermarket in this case. Was at the Fisher College of Business down at the Ohio State University campus, and it was the year 2000, and the Monster.com was kind of a new thing. So I had access through my affiliation with the business school. Was doing a search for an internship. Just so happened the one that came up on the screen, one returned on the screen. It was in Elyria, Ohio. Just so happens that's sort of where I grew up, was in Elyria, Ohio. Here I am thinking I wanted to be an international business person, and didn't really know what that meant, but I certainly didn't think it would lead me to Elyria, Ohio. Nevertheless, they had a job fair. So I went there that weekend, was able to be hired as an intern, which actually there was a co-op, so I was kind of working on a semester and then off a semester going back to school. So at Bendix, so Bendix is a big commercial vehicle supplier. I worked there at the beginning in business development, what they called new business development, new ventures, and kind of got my feet wet and started there then in sales and sort of worked my way through. There, spent 17 years of my professional life with Bendix, and now it's been 4.5, the last 4.5 with Schaeffler in the Automotive Aftermarket. So certainly happy to be here.
So, as you mentioned, you were 15 years at Bendix, working your way up through the ranks to ended up at Vice President of North America Automotive Aftermarket Sales,
Yep.
right? You must have had some mentors along the way at Bendix.
Yes.
In that 15 years, and maybe even the last 4 or 5 years at Schaeffler.
Right.
Any you'd like to talk about or share with us?
Sure. No, it does. The career that I've had so far, I'm very fortunate to have had, a number of folks that I could look up to and aspire to take some of their learnings to my roles. Probably too many to name, but I mean, some of the tidbits that I can remember that really stood out. One actually comes from my own dad, right? So my dad worked in distribution, kind of businesses, not in the automotive industry, but it's a very simple principle. He said it was the 6 Ps, right? And I asked him one day, what is that, And it was perfect planning prevents piss poor performance, right? And it's really all about just being prepared, right, and coming to the game ready to show up. And I've always taken that to heart. It's a spirit of that you try to bring to your team. Being ready, don't come unprepared, anticipate questions, and you'll stick the landing. Maybe another piece of advice I got. This one was from Joe McAleese, who was the CEO at Bendix for many years. And he was a good mentor to me. And Joe was always very strongly encouraging me to get involved in industry associations, industry groups. To him, that always meant something. It was good for your development. It was good for relationships. It was good for learning. You meet the right people. So again, that's something that I always took to heart and continue to this day. Try to find those places where you can be involved, get involved with industry causes. And lend a helping hand, and again, the networks that you build from there are great. And then as a salesperson, for much of my career, I would say, again, I've had numerous sales leaders and that were great. But the advice to really use more of your ears than you do your mouth, I think is wise, whether you're a salesperson, product person, an engineer. I mean, we don't have to, in the automotive aftermarket, we don't have to be that creative. If we just listen to our customers, oftentimes they have the best ideas. And so if we just stick to the game plan, what they're telling us and try to execute, I think, that goes a long way. So thank you.
So I just finished a book about James Baker, the Chief of Staff for Reagan and the Secretary of State for Bush.
Mm-hmm.
and he was also Secretary of Treasury for Reagan. But he had the same thing. That was his same thing about the 6 Ps. Talks about it a lot in the book.
Yeah.
So
you're telling me my dad didn't invent that?
Well, I think that it's easy to talk about and really great to execute. Is what I'm saying. It's really great.
Yeah. Be ready.
So your title is Vice President, U.S. and Canada at Schaeffler.
Yep.
What does that mean? What does your job entail? What are you doing day to day at Schaeffler?
Yep, so I'm responsible for the Automotive Aftermarket division in the U.S. and Canada, like you said. I would really probably describe it in 3 different buckets, right? So my first responsibility is really to deliver a positive experience to our customers, whether it's our distribution partners or the installers that are using our parts so that they want to come back and buy from us again. So that would be part of the job number 1. I would say job number 2 is to make the U.S. and Canadian business from Schaeffler Automotive Aftermarket Division a place that people want to come to work, right? So we've got a number of employees in the group, and we want to make sure that they have an experience that, again, when they come to work in the morning, they're making a choice, and we want them to choose to come to Schaeffler. And then I think the last part of my role, and probably what my boss would describe as part of my role as well, is that I'm responsible for the P&L statement, right? So what's exciting about that is, you really do get to make an impact. You get to size up, do more of this, do less of that, and help with the teams, help carve the way forward.
So you helped spearhead the opening of a new distribution center for Schaeffler just up the street in Strongsville this summer.
That's right.
Tell us how it's ramping up there and how it's going to affect the company's product availability in North America.
Sure. Yeah, so very proud of the fact, we had, the problem statement was we were space constrained. We were working out of a number of facilities actually, sort of across the U.S., many of which were here in Northeast Ohio. Anytime you're space constrained in your main distribution warehouse and you have to utilize others, obviously there's an inefficiency that's naturally built in there. So the aspiration was to get under one roof, and luckily Schaeffler, has high aspirations for what we need to do in the U.S. and Canadian markets, so they fully supported. We opened up a new large 253,000 square foot facility in Strongsville, as you mentioned. It's been exciting to watch the team kind of do their thing, right? The ideas that were, used to be on two-dimensional, that were on paper, have really come to light. We're much more efficient in terms of how we distribute product, receive it, kit it, get it out the door. And what I think is extremely important about what we've also done is when we laid this out is really to be future-proof. And what I mean by that is we need to be, the aftermarket, as we know, is very dynamic. The needs of distribution customers today are much different than they were when I started. The thought of distribution partners asking us, begging us, telling us we have to ship to their customers directly was sort of taboo 20 years ago when I started, and now that's not uncommon. So again, we know we need to be ready for that. We know we need to be prepared if that expands, the kind of those small pack, single pack piece deliveries. So we're really future-proof in that way, and we've even given ourselves some space to grow in this larger facility. What that's meant so far to our customers, I think, has been very positive, right? More flowing product more efficiently, touching it fewer times. Absolutely, we can deliver the parts on a more consistent basis on time. So all of our metrics there have been moving in the right direction, and I would expect that we'll be able to sustain what we're doing today, if not even get better. So that's, I think, delivering on the promise of right part, right place, right time, on a more consistent way.
Talking just before we started here, you announced that you are going to have another facility in Dover, Ohio.
That's right.
To produce e-drives and e-axles. Mm-hmm. Any updates on this, and talk about why this might be a key segment for Schaeffler as e-mobility increases?
Sure. So, Schaeffler has a global footprint. So we're a very large manufacturing and engineering company worldwide. And in our America's footprint, we're very innovative in terms of how we use space, how we get additional capacities. The reality is, though, with the growth that we've had, we needed more space. And so we were looking for a facility to support e-mobility production, and that's what the facility in Dover will do. It's a greenfield facility, so we'll be building from the ground up. What will likely be coming from there will be first and foremost will be e-axles to support the light and medium duty needs of the market. I think what's exciting, as a fellow Ohioan, right? I mean, we'll create, in time we'll create over 450 jobs in the area. Again, it's totally supportive of the growth strategy that we have, which is in the area of e-mobility. I mean, the nice thing about working for Schaeffler right now is we have our foot in both camps, right? So we're doing a lot within internal combustion engine support and development, but on the other hand, Schaeffler has definitely put a strong emphasis on growing the e-mobility segment as well. So this, initial phase will be 130,000 square foot facility. We'll be manufacturing specifically for that e-mobility segment. And give us a lot of runway to grow, into the future.
Jerry, Schaeffler announced that it will combine businesses with Vitesco Technologies, which is set to boost its power electronics business. Mm-hmm. How do you see this enhancing Schaeffler's position in the U.S. aftermarket?
Thanks for the question, Bill. Yeah, it's an exciting time at Schaeffler because there is this merger and this integration of two massive companies that have served the automotive industry, the industrial industries over the years. It's still pretty new in terms of the infancy of where we're going with kind of the integration activity, but so I can't speak too conclusively about everything, but certainly can share some of the observations I've had so far and what I would expect to come, over in time. So far, again, you just line these two organizations up, both very large manufacturing, innovative companies, but very complementary. So what we do, what Vitesco does, I think there's a feeling that I'm getting is it's like it's two puzzle pieces fitting together. Particularly in that e-mobility space, there's going to be a really great 1 + 1 = 3 type of effect where we're going to have kind of some power to be able to harness and deliver some solutions that are really best in class to that automotive industry and that segment that we service every day. So that's super exciting. If I keep it, kind of fit in the observations on the aftermarket side. So far, what I've learned, who the people I've met from the Vitesco side, very experienced. They bring a lot of great experience, a lot of great ideas. When you look at their product portfolio, they're servicing a diverse segments, with also internal combustion, hybrid drive, also e-mobility. So the portfolio is impressive in terms of thinking about what we can do with that as a combined team. What we can bring on the Schaeffler side to the equation, I think, will be, we've serviced this market for some time. So we have, established relationships. We connect with all different types of customers in different segments of the market. So I think, that'll really boost what Vitesco has done in the past. We're, I think, pretty adept at bringing true repair solutions to that installer market. So we've got a connection and kind of an ongoing conversation with the installers, and I think that'll also, be a benefit to what Vitesco's been doing.
Jerry, sustainability is important to you guys.
Yes.
Right? Why don't you tell the AMN audience what you're thinking about, what your goals are, et cetera, related to sustainability?
Cool. Thanks, Bill. It is a very important topic to Schaeffler. I would say it's really embedded in our values within the corporation. Schaeffler, we have a very large manufacturing presence globally. We have over 83,000 employees globally. We have been named by the United Nations as one of the 50 leaders globally as it comes to sustainability and climate. So we wear that badge very proudly, but then it also creates some responsibility, right? And so we're fully engrossed in terms of activity on the topic of sustainability. When we look at initiatives that will really make an impact, we start to think about, first and foremost, where is our waste, where's our, emissions coming from, and 90% of what we emit is coming really from that what we call Scope 3 upstream emissions. And so we think about the products we're designing, where can we make changes, things like alternative materials, how can we produce with using less material. We think about the raw material that comes into our facility. So I'll give you a kind of an illustration here. You come into a Schaeffler manufacturing plant, it would not be uncommon that a flatbed trailer will be sitting there with rolls of steel, right? That will then be put into production, coming out a few days later as a finished good. It's very vertically integrated. So when you're consuming raw material at that level, we also can make an impact by how we choose those raw materials. So we're looking at sourcing more steel that's produced via electric arc fired furnaces rather than blast furnaces, right? So we can make an impact on that side as well. I would say on the topic of sustainability, it's really impressive to see. It kind of lets Schaeffler be Schaeffler, because I think at the end we're a problem-solving company. We're the motion technology company, but in the heart of that is we solve problems, right? And so sustainability becomes the next, let's say, problem opportunity waiting to be solved. Whether it was a design issue in the past or a cost issue or a quality concern, this now is sustainability, and so we put our continuous improvement methodologies into practice, right? So how do you do that? Well, one of the things is you get people on the shop floor at the grassroots, involved in the conversation. So the last few years, we have had what we called Climate Action Day. So it's kind of an opportunity for us to take a time out. We hold workshops from people, again, from the shop floor all the way to the boardroom. People are talking about what do we do, how can we make ourselves more sustainable. And so as an outcome of that, we've created over 2,000 different ideas, again, coming from our people that are in the phases of implementation and evaluation. Those things will deliver, conservation on water, power, reduction in waste. We're talking about making our people safer, right? That's a part of sustainability. We talk about how do we promote women into more leadership roles. So again, we're really looking at sustainability, in that continuous improvement mindset to try to take the next steps. And it's again, I'm actually proud to say that I'm part of that and to see what we've done already, the impact that we're making on a day in and day out basis. And I would expect, that flywheel will keep turning and only more is to come.
Jerry, as you mentioned, you've seen a few of these drive times.
Yes.
And we do something called lightning round.
That's right.
I'm going to ask you some questions. You're going to give me a quick answer.
Okay. It's always been my dream to be on a game
show?
show. So this is kind of like as close as I may ever get.
All right. Are you ready?
Give it to me.
All right. What type of car do you drive?
I drive a Chevy Traverse.
What's your dream car? A Chevy Traverse?
You know what? I have to say, I'm kind of a simple person, right? So, for me, I don't mind driving a Chevy Traverse. Maybe I'd upgrade to something a little bit bigger. Maybe I like those Lincoln Navigators driving around on the roads. I think my wife would probably get one before I do, but yeah, maybe I'd go with a Lincoln Navigator.
Are you a DIYer or a DIFM guy?
I'm a DIFM guy, man. I like to keep the economy moving. So,
what's the best place to tailgate before an Ohio State University football game?
That would have been at my house, the corner of 9th and Neal. But if you can't get there, actually just right outside in the parking lot right there is great. You get to see the other team. If you get there early enough, you see the other team coming in. It gets pretty exciting pretty early in the morning. So,
favorite Cleveland sports team?
I would say the Browns. Kind of bleed the Browns.
Cleveland's a football town.
It's a football town. Yeah.
It's football, then baseball, then basketball, probably, right?
That's right.
In that order.
Yep.
Would you rather coach or rather play baseball?
Oh, easy. Coach.
What's the best restaurant that you enjoy in Cleveland?
It's Blue Point Grill. I really like Blue Point Grill downtown.
What's a song you're playing on repeat these days?
Poof. Well, I'm a talk radio guy. So that's, what I like, Don't Stop Believin', by journey. You know, that's kind of my, if you ask my kids, they'd say that's my jam. So I'll put that one out there.
Love it. Jerry, great to have you on
Thanks, Bill.
AMN Drivetime, sponsored by Aishan.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Great to be here.
AMN Drivetime is sponsored by Aishan, your trusted and reliable source for aftermarket automotive components and technology. Visit aishanaftermarket.com for more information.